Alright guys, in today's video we have a few interesting things to go over and discuss here. The first thing we're going to be talking about is Naughty Dog and how they are apparently leaving the door open, or the director, I should say, is leaving the door open to making another Uncharted game, which is very interesting for sure. I think that's something that at least some people would want to see. However, I do think there are those who maybe feel as though Uncharted should rest for a while, but we're going to talk about that. We're also going to be talking about Square Enix and Next Generation and how apparently they confirmed they don't plan to make any next-gen games for what seems to be quite some time, which is very interesting because I think something that a lot of people are wondering is if we can expect a PlayStation 5 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake or some type of upgrade. So we're going to talk about that. And then finally, we're going to briefly talk about Predator Hunting Grounds, which is a PlayStation 4 game that's coming out. It's like a asymmetric multiplayer game. There's going to be a free trial weekend, I believe, for it. That I don't think it requires PlayStation Plus, but we're going to talk about that as well. But before going any further, if you think you're going to enjoy the video, or if you do enjoy the content in general, be sure to hit the like button. Really helps it out more than you know. It's an easy way for you to show your support here. And make sure you hit the subscribe button as well if you haven't already done that. But it says here that Naughty Dog director leaves the door open to making another Uncharted game. Developer Naughty Dog left the Uncharted franchise in a very, very good place upon the culmination of Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. The 2016 PlayStation 4 exclusive wraps things up nicely with a feel-good epilogue, which gives Nathan Drake a lovely send-off, but director Neil Druckmann might have left behind some unfinished business. While discussing how to manage expectations with sequels and the approach the studio took, Druckmann said, "You just realize we're not going to top that, so we're going to do something different. We're just going to do this other thing." And then kind of similarly with the sequel is, first of all, do we want to make it? And we're lucky that we have the freedom that Sony gives us where we can choose. We made Uncharted 4, and we haven't made another Uncharted since. Maybe one day we will. We'll see. Nathan Drake, voice actor, then comically adds, "We'll talk about it." It's been widely rumored that a new Sony team based in San Diego would be taking up the reins of the series and developing future Uncharted titles, but does this new quote throw a bit of spanner in the works? Of course, all of this is completely unconfirmed, so we can only speculate for now, but it does look like Neil Druckmann is leaving the door open to the possibility of returning to the franchise at a later date. We wouldn't read too much into what was said in the last episode of Retro Replay for now, although the idea of returning to an Uncharted at a later date doesn't appear to be completely foregone. So there you go. It's not the biggest news, not the most significant, but for anybody who is a huge Uncharted fan and have been wondering if this is something that Naughty Dog specifically would be willing to return to, it sounds like, according to Neil Druckmann, that it's a possibility. I don't necessarily think it's likely, though, and as this article mentions, there have been some rumors that have been going around for a while now that, San Diego studio, they have like a second team that's been tasked with creating another Uncharted game or continuing Uncharted. Although I have heard in the past as well that it's actually not Uncharted, it's going to be a new IP, which I think honestly is a little bit more likely. I don't see Sony giving a team that needs to kind of prove themselves in this area something like Uncharted. I think it's more likely they would have to do something kind of brand new, but who knows? As to whether or not we're going to get like an Uncharted 5 during the PlayStation 5 life cycle, I think we will, if I'm being honest. I think at some point we will. I just don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. We know that Naughty Dog is currently finishing up The Last of Us Part 2, and there have been rumors that they are working on in the early phase of working on a new IP as well, which frankly I think it's more likely we can expect a new IP from Naughty Dog after The Last of Us Part 2 is out, and I think Next Generation, that's probably the first thing we'll see from Naughty Dog, but then after that, I could see them actually returning to Uncharted, and as you can see here, it's something that, Neil Druckmann is not completely opposed to. Obviously, he's probably had a lot of ideas, going through his head ever since they finished up Uncharted 4, and maybe they're going to save them for another time, so be sure to let me know down in the comments below if you would like to see another Uncharted game, a mainline game, and if you think that that's something we'll actually see with the PlayStation 5. But moving on from that, we're going to be talking about Square Enix. And the article reads here, don't expect any next-gen exclusive games from Square Enix in the near future. The industry is gearing up for the arrival of the next generation with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series, but publisher Square Enix doesn't plan on releasing its games exclusively for those platforms anytime soon. In a new Q&A as part of a financial briefing, the Japanese behemoth stated that it will take advantage of backwards compatibility to ensure its games reach the most amount of consumers possible. The firm said the next generation consoles will have backward compatibility, so we plan for the time being to make our new titles available for both current and next generation consoles. It will therefore be somewhat further down the road that we release titles exclusively for the next generation consoles. The quote does suggest that the future Square Enix titles will receive a native PS5 version when their release dates roll around, but you won't see the company dropping the PlayStation 4 version anytime soon. So there you go. Square Enix is saying something that I think a lot of third-party publishers are most likely going to do. They are going to support the new consoles, obviously, but any games they release for probably the first year or two, kind of similar to what Microsoft is doing with their first-party titles with their platform, they're going to be cross-gen. And this doesn't come as a surprise. Every time we get a new generation, this is something that most third-party publishers do, and if you want to know why, it's very simple. They even explain it right here. They say it for you. It's because they want to reach the largest amount of consumers as possible, and I do think that we will see a PS5 patch or enhancement upgrade for Final Fantasy VII Remake. I also think, and this is where the conversation gets a little bit interesting when you think about how Sony is going to handle this or how publishers are going to handle this in general. You have to imagine that a lot of games that are going to be releasing this year are also going to be enhanced for the PS5 and the Xbox Series, and it just kind of makes me wonder about how they're going to put them on shelves, right? Like, are we going to see like a dedicated boxed version of Final Fantasy VII Remake or games like The Last of Us Part 2? And even talking about Xbox, are we going to see like a Xbox Series boxed version of Halo Infinite? I have to imagine we will, but they're going to have to make it very clear that it's playable on the PS4 and the Xbox One as well. So we're going to have to see how all of that is handled. But in terms of Square Enix making games exclusively just for the new consoles, it sounds like they're going to take their time with that. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think this is a different situation from Sony, where Sony wants to sell as many PS5s as they can. So it's in their best interest to make some games, maybe not all games, but at least some games, truly exclusive for just that console, as a way to incentivize people to upgrade. But yeah, be sure to let me know down below. Are you excited at the idea of Final Fantasy VII Remake possibly getting a PS5 patch? And is this something that surprises you that you're hearing from Square Enix, or is it something that you honestly expected? And do you think other publishers will end up following the same path that Square Enix is choosing here when it comes to next generation? Make sure you let me know down below. But moving on to the final piece of information here, it has to do with the upcoming game Predator Hunting Grounds and how apparently they're going to be having a free trial weekend that starts March 27th. And this comes from the PlayStation blog post, and it reads, "I'm so excited to announce we will be running a trial weekend for Predator Hunting Grounds starting on March 27th and running through March 29th. The trial will be open to PS4 players with a PlayStation Plus membership and PC players as well via cross-play support. Just hop to the PlayStation Store, download the trial, and start hunting." So I apologize, I was actually incorrect at the beginning of the video. It turns out you will need PlayStation Plus if you plan to play it on PS4. The trial will be available to download on March 27th in Japan at 3 p.m. JST, in Europe at 4 p.m. GMT, and in North America at 5 p.m. PST. We spent the last part of 2019 taking a demo around to various gaming events around the world and allowing members of the public to try it for themselves. Seeing the fun that everyone has had as both the Predator and the Fire team has been incredibly rewarding for the dev team. We received valuable feedback through the process, and we believe everyone will be excited to see where the game is. We are looking forward to having you test the game out as we are getting closer and closer to the launch. I believe this game comes out the first or second week of April. So, I will have this blog post linked down below. They have a little trailer here, and they also go on in this blog post to talk more about the game and what exactly you can expect from it. But based off of what I've seen from Predator Hunting Grounds, it's a game I'm going to try out for sure. It's interesting because it's published by Sony, but it's not just exclusive to the PlayStation 4. They are releasing it on PC, and as you can see here, they are going to have crossplay. So I think we're starting to see what Sony means by trying to expand into multiplayer gaming a little bit here. And what I've seen of Predator Hunting Grounds so far, it's nothing insanely impressive. It's nothing that really makes me overly excited, but it does look like it could be a good time playing with some friends, and it's nice that they're going to have a free trial here, because honestly, this is one of those games. I don't think it's going to be $60. I think it's going to be a $40 title, if I'm not mistaken. This is one of those games where I would like to be able to try it out before, actually buying it, and, it's also a good sign of confidence here. It seems, they're confident enough to have a trial weekend, maybe to convince people, hey, look, like, this is a fun game, this is a good game, come try it out for free, and if you do end up liking it, which they clearly think people will, give it a purchase. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you did find it informative. Be sure to let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts about Uncharted, a potential Uncharted sequel from Naughty Dog. Let me know your thoughts about Square Enix kind of holding off on next-gen only games, and definitely let me know your thoughts down below about Predator Hunting Grounds. Will you be trying the game out with this free trial weekend, or is it a game you're not interested in? Be sure to leave all that down below. Leave the video a like if you did enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.